Let's dissect all this with former Washington Republican Senate candidate Tiffany Smiley and Bakari Sellers, a CNN political commentator and former state representative in South Carolina. Tiffany, I think to Elena's last point there, this has been one of the questions of, is it trolling? Is he, and I think in Justin Trudeau's case, it seems to be very explicitly trolling. But when it comes to Greenland, when it comes to the Panama Canal, is this a negotiating tactic? Is he trying to lay the groundwork? For an American first foreign policy, how does this all kind of align?
Yeah, I mean, look, over the last 4 years, we've been the laughing stock of the world, and world leaders have gotten away with whatever they've wanted. President Trump is showing peace through strength. You know, as far as the Panama Canal, he talked about the Panama Canal all throughout his campaign, and rightfully pointed out that it was practically given away for free under Jimmy Carter. A safe and secure Panama Canal is so crucial to America's economy, and not only that, but our national security. So we know that China is operating, or Chinese businesses are operating at the ports of both ends of the canal. This is a fact. So President Trump is setting the stage to protect us, protect the American economy. I believe it is a negotiating tactic, and he's very good at this. You know, we can use our American economy force and tariffs to ensure that the canal works for the best interest of America, and putting America at the top of the list. So we are winning for the American people. That's exactly the mandate that was put down through the election. And President Trump is just standing up and leading. He made it very clear with Prime Minister Trudeau that if Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S. billions of dollars every single year, then perhaps they should annex. He's simply making a point that status quo from our allies ripping off the American people will not happen anymore.
Bakari, one of the questions I've had, and to Tiffany's point, there are two Hong Kong subsidiaries that operate two of the ports within the Panama Canal. Obviously, as Elena was pointing out, the president of Panama making clear there are no troops there, but the issue of Chinese influence in Latin America has been one that a lot of people are talking about, including the current administration. I think one of my questions, particularly when it comes to Panama is absolutely critical to helping stem the tide of migration through the Darien Gap. This is technically somebody he needs to work with, the president-elect, when he comes into office. In terms of working with foreign leaders, this second time around, is this strategy going to be effective?
I mean, first, let's just fact check a little bit and level set with some honesty here. As you stated, there are no Chinese troops that are there at the Panama Canal. So that's kind of first. Second, I mean, there's no better way to illustrate peace through strength than to go after Panama, Canada, and Greenland. Right? That was sarcasm for those of you all who are listening in Sirius XM as you ride on this day after Christmas. I mean, this is all a joke. The fact that we're going through this again, I mean, a lot of Trump supporters got a ride on the Titanic the first go round and bought a ticket for the second go round. We know what's going to happen. And this is the type of inconsistency. This is the type of foreign policy through tweet, which makes us the laughing stock of the world. The fact is, you're going to need Canada, right? You're going to need Panama, particularly to stem migration. This is something that's central to your immigration policy, and you're going to thumb your nose at them via tweet. There's nothing serious about this. But look, there is one thing that we do have accurate here. This is what the American public voted for. We have a very, very short memory in this country. We kind of memory hold things. We forget about those late night tweets that the president of the United States sends out. And it's very, very hard to govern via Twitter or via X or whatever it's called now. But the fact is, we're going to realize that this is very, very ineffective. And not only is it ineffective, but the lone individual there who appears to have the talent and skill necessary to navigate these issues, somebody like Marco Rubio, is going to be handicapped focusing on Greenland, Panama, and Canada when we have Russia, Ukraine, when we have the Middle East. I mean, this is weird. It's fodder for the base, but this is just a weird, weird thing.
Go ahead, Tiffany.
I was just saying, President Trump can walk and chew gum at the same time. So, you know, when you look at our standing on the world stage, the failed departure in Afghanistan, how it emboldened the evils of this world to take advantage of individuals around the world and the United States of America, he is standing up with peace through strength. He can take on these other factors, these other national big issues, while at the same time protecting the American people and really coming to the table with leverage, coming to the table and showing that we are here to lead and we are here to put America first. This is what you're right. You are right. This is what the American people voted for. And President Trump is right. Greenland is of vital strategic importance to the United States. I mean, there are many facts here that I don't think you are exactly acknowledging. Greenland is in a strategic position in the North Atlantic, and their acquisition has actually been talked about by U.S. strategists since the 19th century. So this is nothing new. This is just President Trump leading with peace through strength.
Bakari, last word.
I don't know. This is such a Twitter conversation because I don't know how you just go out and acquire Greenland, right? It's not like you go to IKEA and acquire a set that they have to call a task rabbit to come put together. I mean, these are nuanced foreign policy discussions. And I do believe that Marco Rubio, and I do believe that Thune, and I do believe that there are people who actually have some ability to navigate these worldly issues. But I mean, I wish that instead of tweeting about this, we were working with Joe Biden and others to utilize our leverage to bring the hostages home. I wish that he had the same type of impetus and burning desire to stand up to Vladimir Putin, and the same desire he has to thumb his nose at Justin Trudeau, who he calls a governor in the state. And so I just think that there's some level of inconsistency here that it's beneath the level of the presidency. But again, in 18 months, I feel you bring us back and we can have this discussion again.
I would look forward to it. I think there's going to be a lot that happens in the next 18 months. Certainly a more interesting job for his ambassador selections going to Denmark and Panama based on the tweets announcing them. Tiffany Smiley, Bakari Sellers, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.